Welcome back to my channel, everyone. This is my video on Big Thief. They have a new record. So my take on Double Infinity behind me there on the shelf. So Big Thief kind of came to my attention in 2019 with UFOF. And then they released another album. So they had two albums in 2019. They released another one later that year in like October, called Two Hands. And then I was able to see them in Oakland, California for the first time a week after Two Hands came out. So, and I was completely blown away by their performance. And I knew like there was really something special going on. I mean, if you've ever seen them live, I'm sure you can pick up on that. And since then, we've had a new double album by Big Thief, Dragon New Mountain, I Believe in You. I just feel like I'm gonna screw that one up. It's not the most conventional of titles, which I loved, absolutely loved. That came out in 2022. It's one of those double albums that just seems to go by in a breeze. Like it's diverse, but there's no part of it that slows it down or sort of kills the momentum. I find that it's really unusual that way. You can drop the needle on all four sides, and before I know it, it's over. And it's a hell of a ride. There's so many good songs on there. And then also in that time, right before, maybe it might have been a year before, we got Adrian Lenker's sort of pandemic record, songs and instrumentals. There's killer material on there. She's alone or with some friends in a cabin, middle of nowhere, recorded on vintage equipment. And then a similar record as far as, I guess, recording style, all analog with Bright Future, which is my favorite album of last year. So I've been waiting for a new Big Thief record for quite some time. When I saw Adrienne Lenker in 2024, about a year and a half ago, she played at the Paramount Theater here in Seattle. And I went to see her and was completely, blown away by the performance. Absolutely, just one of those just powerful performances. Starts out acoustic, then brings on the same band that accompanied her on the album Bright Future. It was just absolutely gorgeous performance. And I felt like there was just something in the air that night that to me just seemed like they were on the, she, and by extension, Big Thief were on the verge of something extremely powerful, like a major breakthrough or something. It reminded me of seeing REM fairly early on or Arcade Fire, where you're like, this band or this artist is right on the cusp here of like blowing everything wide open and going to a much greater heights, I guess. I mean, some would argue it's nice to keep our bands kind of small, me included usually. But I just felt like there was something there that night. Primarily, all the young people that came out. When I'd seen Big Thief before, it was primarily, it seemed like it skewed a little bit older, or definitely not like teens. And Adrian Lenker, there were just a ton of like 15, 16, 17-year-olds there. It's the longest merch line I'd ever seen. It snagged all the way through the theater. I remember thinking I found the end of it when I was getting a drink up on the upper balcony, and the person that was selling me a drink pointed to where it continued to go. It like actually, I think, snaked into the actual auditorium. It was just absolutely insane. Everybody there for her merch. And I just thought, okay, it's going to happen. Like this band, their next record, Big Thief's next record, because they're definitely due for a record, and I think they would probably be more likely to break through as a band than she would solo. Her solo stuff, I think, is definitely more of an acquired taste, and it doesn't quite have the instrumental power that a Big Thief record does, even though I like some of her solo records as much, if not more, like Bright Future, than I do some Big Thief records. So I thought this album was going to be the one. I thought that this album was going to have just some absolutely killer songs on it that would break through, that would get tons of airplay. And part of me wanted that for him. I wanted that kind of record. I wanted to see them just kind of explode to some extent. But if they're still making music and all that. And early on I heard some songs. I heard Incomprehensible from a live show, found it on YouTube. I think No Fear, a couple other songs, and I really liked the way they were going, the direction they were going. I felt like Incomprehensible might be the best song she'd ever written. I mean, it completely floored me seeing that live clip. And when I found out that that was going to be the single from this album, when it was finally announced and finally going to come out, I was thrilled until I heard the song. And this is where this record gets difficult for me. I feel like there are so many emotional highs in Adrienne Lenker and Big Thief's songwriting and Fragility. Just songs will just like keep you hanging on, and just every word she says, because she's one of the best lyricists, and just kind of, just waves of emotion coming through, or just truth she speaks, or just really feeling like you're identifying with what she's saying, and on a really emotional level, and just emotional songwriting, and some of the arrangements really were great for that. A song like Changes off of Dragon New Mountain, earlier song like um, Mythical Beauty off of Capacity. Unbelievable songwriter. I think she's probably the best modern lyricist we have right now, that I'm aware of, that can just slay you with a song. But I feel like with Incomprehensible, the studio version, a lot of that was gone. It was just, you heard all the instrumental things, and just sort of sounded like this wave of music coming at you without very many identifiable characteristics. Everything kind of blended together. And I felt like all the rough edges were kind of sanded off, and the impact of her lyrics was really diluted and kind of lost. It just really surprised me, because it was the complete opposite way that I thought they were going to do that song. And it took me a while. I'm talking like 20 times to warm up to it. Now I do like it. I think it works. But part of that is really paying attention to the lyrics and sort of knowing the song ahead of time. And I feel like the whole record is kind of like that. They lost their bass player, Max. They're a really tight community. They're not going to go into that whole, why he left, or the drama, and air their dirty laundry in secret. They're just like, hey, he's no longer with us. We wish him the best. And that seems to be the official line, and that, hey, that's great. But they were such a tight unit. I mean, if you go just looking at their album covers, look at something like UFOF, or some of their press photos where they're all kind of in a group hug. It's like they're a close knit band. And I mean, Buck Meek, the guitar player, and Adrienne Lenker, I mean, they were married and they got divorced, and the band still survived. So definitely have had their ups and downs, but it's like this family type unit that keeps going. So it's disappointing to see that one of them left. And rather than deal with it, I think that a lot of ways other bands would do, which is just bring in a replacement, or you can pretend like nothing happened in a way, bring in a replacement bass player, and go forward. Or you could do like the REM thing, which is go with your core strengths, what three members bring, and then lightly substitute the missing drummer, but go in a different direction, like using drum machines where you don't have to use the drummers much. I'm talking about Up. But they did the complete opposite. They have a new bass player, although I don't think he's officially a member of Big Thief, at least if you look at the album credits for this new record. But they invited like 7 of their friends or something like that. Each one of these tracks has like 10 musicians on it constantly. It's like there's no track with just like 2 or 3 or 4. They all have like 10 on them, and they invited all their friends or musicians they really respected to play on this record. And I think it was a mistake. I mean, it's grown on me. I didn't like this record the first few times I played it. I still find a couple of the songs really lacking, or just annoying in certain ways. It's kind of hard to get beyond. I'm talking about the one where she repeats Happy With You, the song Happy With You, about 50 times. Grandmother's one I struggle with. It features Larigi. I'm totally butchering that. I'll put the name up here. A throat singer or something? I don't mind like that artist being interwoven to some of these songs, but it's like almost like turned up as loud as, and it says featuring this artist on the song credits. Almost like a co-lead vocal. It's up so loud. It doesn't bother me quite as much as it bothers my partner. I mean, it's almost like turn off the record when that comes on for her. That song I just find, I don't know, messes with me a little bit, but especially the one I'm Happy With You. But there's so many good songs in here. I just feel like the record just sort of, it's almost like polished, but it's not polished. I mean, it sounds like a sterile kind of production that something like All That You Can't Leave Behind by U2 would have. It's like very consistent, but like a wash of sound. It doesn't necessarily complement the individual players the way that their other records did. That said, I love the fact that this is kind of like a travel log record. She mentions Paris, she mentions New York, Los Angeles. I think she's on a plane in one of the songs, a hotel room. It's like, okay, there's obviously a lot of this was written on the road, and a lot of this is about her being in love, and she is clearly in love on this record. And I don't know the ins and outs of her personal life, but I did see that she posted about her girlfriend not that long ago, and just celebrating their relationships. I think she's extremely happy, and I think there's a lot of that. There's a lot of like just amazing lyrics. She does a really good job with that. I think Words is a highlight. I think Los Angeles is a highlight. All Day, All Night, All Day gets incredibly intimate. But I think it's powerful. I think it's a great song. First half of the record, the first side, I think is really good, especially once you play this numerous times. I got first heard this on a streaming party that I signed up for. There was a live stream of the record. You could listen to it as many times as you wanted to. I knew half of it about from singles coming out ahead of time, and that first listen was not a great one for me. I was not. There was nothing about it that made me immediately want to play it again, and I didn't. Over the next week, I probably listened to it 5 times, and the last time I played it was when I actually got my record. It was a little bit late. I played it twice on vinyl, and the first time was at night between 2 speakers. In my opinion, the best way to listen to a record. And that's when it really started to gel for me, when all this started to make sense. And yeah, I think the first side, like I said, is great. I think No Fear is great on the second side. I love the groove it gets into. It kind of breaks up the record a little bit. And then I think that last song, How Could I Have Known, is gonna grow on me for sure. I think sometimes I find this all the time with records that I talk about that have been out a while. Like, it's easy to be critical of a record when it first comes out because you're waiting for it, right? This is the new Big Thief record. There's not going to be another one for a while. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll surprise us like they did with UFOF and Two Hands, and there'll be another one coming. But this is their statement for a while, So this is the new Big Thief record. I think maybe in time, when they've got another couple records out, I'll learn to like this one a little bit more. I'm going to keep trying to like it more. I just wish it was exceptional, and I don't think it is. I think it probably is in the rank towards the bottom of Big Thief records, unfortunately. That still means it's a good record. That still means it's probably going to be on my top records of the year. It's just not that brilliant record I know they're capable of, and I was hoping we'd get. So, Big Thief, Double Infinity. I got a kick out of the packaging. It had a little sticker on the lime, like a fruit sticker with Big Thief, Double Infinity. I actually am partial. I really do like the packaging on this. I've heard that the CD packaging isn't very good because it's like blue type on black and it's really hard to read the lyrics. You get a little bit of that with the vinyl, but I don't have too much of a hard time reading the lyrics, probably due to the size. I also like that it's one of those records that has no information on it. Just the lime on both sides. Their name is on the spine, okay. But yeah, I kind of like that when an image just stands on its own. And while I didn't like this image initially, I really like it now. And it is referenced a little bit in the lyrics too, which I find cool. So that's all I got. Let me know what you think about Double Infinity. Is it going to be a grower for you? Did you not like it? What are the standout songs for you? Did you hear the original songs, the live versions before this came out, and were your expectations a little bit different? We'd just love to know your experience with it. I still think they're one of the best rock and roll band to come out in the last 10 years, at least in my opinion. And this record does not change that. I just wish it was a little bit better. Thanks, everyone.